Our next guest is a senior member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Please welcome Senator Deb Fischer of Nebraska. I was saying backstage, I love a brown suit. I have one myself.
I know.
Anyone who's watched this
here.
has probably seen me wear it at like 3 events back to back. But thanks for being here today.
Good to be here.
I want to talk about nukes, a topic near and dear to your heart. Let's start broad. What is your assessment of the U.S. arsenal versus China's arsenal versus Russia's arsenal?
We've seen a big change. I think when you look at the threats around the world, you have to consider that before you enter any kind of discussion about our triad and our nuclear arsenal. We have China, we have Russia that are peer competitors, we have Iran out there in North Korea. Russia has modernized their nuclear weapons, and they are very strong when it comes to their tactical weapons. China has advanced at a breathtaking speed when it comes to their platforms and their weapons, and they surprise us.
Is it fair to call China a peer? They have far fewer warheads. There's questions about its C3. People call it near peer, some people call it peer, but I think there's a decent gap there in terms of numbers.
But they are growing, and they are advancing, as I said. They surprise us on how quickly they have adapted and continue to grow their triad. And they do have a triad.
What was your big takeaway from China's military parade? They had drones, they had missiles, they had everything. Were you surprised, shocked, bored?
Never bored.
Never bored.
Never bored. It's hard to be surprised anymore because we're surprised a lot. That's not, in my opinion, that's not a good position to be in. But it also has spurred us on as we look at the threats. It has spurred us on to take seriously our modernization of our triad and to modernize platforms, but also the weapons that we have. So the B-21s, as we were talking about backstage, when we look at those, they're on schedule. That is huge. That's a great thing. But we need more than 100. The number for 100 of B-21s, that came about in 2010. And we have seen the landscape of threats change a lot since then.
What's the sweet spot for?
Well, General Cotton, the STRATCOM commander, who is the person we should listen to on the requirements of STRATCOM, says 145. And if you look at the Indo-Pacific, when you look at the conventional needs that are out there in the Indo-Pacific, when we face China, that needs to be taken into consideration too. So I think 145 sounds like something we should have serious discussions.
So 100 was the old number, 145 is today's number. Do you think maybe we'll hit like 200 10 years from now, right? Do you expect some sort of upward trend on that?
It depends on the threats that we face, but I hope we don't completely close down programs as we think the Cold War is over. So we close down a program. We sit in mothballs for a while, and then it takes forever to start it up on every level. You look at the Columbia sub. We're behind schedule there. I think the Navy's going to catch up. But we need to seriously consider submarine shipbuilding and what's needed there, and if maybe new yards are needed as well.
What are you hearing out of the White House from President Trump about that point about shipbuilding, right? Because he was very excited about it during Navy Secretary Phelan's confirmation hearing. Phelan mentioned getting 3 a.m. texts about rust from the president. How are you thinking about shipbuilding, and what are you hearing from the president about that?
I think it's good to have an administration that's committed to our military, and that recognizes that our triad is the bedrock of our security here for our country, but also for the world as well.
Will the U.S. always need a triad?
I believe so, yes.
Let me rephrase.
You didn't like my answer?
No, it was good. I guess, will we always need ICBMs in the ground in
Yes.
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 Why?
And that's why the Sentinel program is so very important. Because right now, we really only have a dyad. We have submarines and we have ICBMs. Our bombers aren't loaded, and it takes time to do that.
So you believe the Pentagon was correct in recertifying Sentinel?
Yes.
What would be your argument to the watchers, to the audience, to the public about why it's worth the money? It's way over budget. It's way past dates on, just certain milestones. Why should we keep pouring money into it?
Because it's necessary for our security. Simple answer. It's necessary for our security. You can look at the triad and be able to say, well, submarines, they're kind of elusive out there. We don't know where they are. They can hide. Our bombers are also valuable for a number of reasons. But think about ICBMs being in the heartland of this country and what that means to an adversary who would ever consider hitting the heartland of America. That's a deterrent in itself, besides the fact of the reliability that we have with our ICBMs.
And so the Air Force has said it's looking at ways to keep Minuteman III viable through about 2050, according to the unclassified version of a GAO report. Is that wise to keep something so old running for so long? And then what does that do on the logistics or even the money tail?
You have to be able to keep the Minuteman III viable as you're working on Sentinel. Sentinel is going to obviously replace the Minuteman III, but it's going to have capabilities that, again, are going to reinforce being a deterrent to our adversaries to ever consider hitting our homeland or our allies.
Underpinning all of this deterrent talk is the NNSA and its Cold War infrastructure. In June, you introduced the NNSA Infrastructure Improvements Act. How and where do you think resources need to be poured to get the NNSA on the right path?
Yeah. I think we have to be able to look at the infrastructure that's needed there. They had their enterprise blueprint that they put out that sets out a path forward. But to have that infrastructure that can handle, for example, plutonium and enriched uranium is extremely important.
Have you talked to the NNSA about the plutonium pit holdup at SRPPF and
Always.
PF4 out in New Mexico and South Carolina? What are they telling you about that schedule? We're already way past the 2030 milestone that they had originally pitched.
Well, they're moving. They're moving. I heard Senator Young talk about bipartisan work, and I'm really, really fortunate to have as co-chair of the Strategic Force Subcommittee Angus King. And we have a great working relationship, and we are definitely partners as we move through this. We have a lot of classified briefings. We get a lot of information. We constantly challenge the military and including with Department of Energy, with NNSA on their timelines.
And with this government shutdown, we're seeing the NNSA furloughs happen. What ramifications does that have on the stockpile, on our nuclear surety, and are you starting to sweat?
I think our adversaries need to know that we have a safe and secure stockpile and never question that we are able to reach anywhere at any time.
This feels like an unprecedented moment. It's like 1,400 people. How does the U.S. prevent that from happening again?
We can't cut back on funding, obviously. That goes into when you question what the number of planes are from 2010, after the Cold War, when everything was shut down, it takes time to rebuild, and we fall behind as our adversaries keep moving forward. So the message would be we have to not become complacent, realize that there are other countries in this world that do not share our values and that view us as their enemy and as a force that they need to knock out. And I see that continuing.
Last question as we're running over a little here. Yes or no, should the U.S. send Tomahawks to Ukraine?
I think I think you have to analyze the situation and what the needs are and what your ultimate goal is. If the ultimate goal is to end this war by having Ukraine knock out Russia, then yes.
Senator, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you for your time and your insights tonight.
Thank you.